During World War II, many works vital to art history were put into jeopardy, and luckily for the art world, a valiant force of stalwart art historians and museum curators under the MFAA, also known as the Monuments Men, did everything in their power to protect and preserve the culture of Europe. Unfortunately, there were some pieces that could not be saved. Of the many important paintings destroyed, Caravaggio's St. Matthew and the Angel remains as one of the most tragic losses. This painting offered a unique perspective, it being a gateway into Caravaggio's earlier works, expressing his unique style in its most authentic form, as it was an original painting, not forced to conform to the Catholic Church's vision, as its replacement, the Inspiration of St. Matthew, was. This painting expresses Caravaggio's original expression of St. Matthew's writing of the Gospel in a way rivaled by no other. To better understand this work in its entirety, we must first come to understand the artist himself and the time period in which he lived. Caravaggio was a Baroque painter, active in the late 16th and early 17th century, coming to Rome in 1592 and beginning his official artistic career with such paintings as Boy Peeling Fruit and The Fortune Teller, which jump-started his career as an artist, gaining immense popularity through his profound realism and intricate use of light and shadow, known as tenebrism. Continuing in his slew of prestigious commissions, Caravaggio was commissioned in 1599 to paint a series of 3 paintings of St. Matthew for the Contarelli Chapel. The famous trio of St. Matthew and the Angel, then becoming the Inspiration of St. Matthew, the Calling of St. Matthew, and the Martyrdom of St. Matthew. At the peak of his artistic career, Caravaggio painted The Conversion on the Way to Damascus, The Taking of Christ, and The Death of the Virgin. These works are considered his masterpieces and held with great reverence even today. Caravaggio was known for his unruliness and often got into quarrels that turned into brawls. After a duel with Ranuccio Tomassoni, in which Caravaggio killed his opponent, an act of murder was too much to overlook for Rome, and he was forced to flee, living throughout the Italian states in Naples, Sicily, Malta, and Syracuse for the rest of his days. Caravaggio attempted to have a pardon granted by the Pope and returned to Rome, but unfortunately, he was never able to return, dying on the voyage back. He had completed his last paintings, The Denial of St. Peter, John the Baptist, and Martyrdom of St. Ursula, for Cardinal Schiappone, as thanks for his efforts in restoring his citizenship. Caravaggio died 21st of July, 1610, likely of a fever. The Baroque period, coming from the Portuguese word barocco, was used to describe a contorted pearl, then being applied to the contorted and extravagant style that contrasted greatly to its precursor, the Renaissance. Following the Protestant Reformation, many followers of the Catholic Church turned to Protestant churches that followed the sect of Christianity attributed to the doctrine of Martin Luther. This was alarming to the Catholic Church, and the Council of Trent was formed in 1545 to combat the Protestant threat, where the leading members of the Catholic Church met to strategize possible tactics to entice former followers to return. The council came up with the idea of artwork that could appeal to a wide variety of people by commissioning pieces that would touch the heart of the viewer, inspiring them to return to the Catholic Church. Baroque artwork was typically characterized by incredibly, almost unrealistically complex design to appeal to the emotions. Artwork of this period would utilize multiple forms of media, including painting, sculpture, and architecture, in order to jolt the viewer into a religious stupor, evoking intense feelings within them. Warm colours and mastery over light and shadow, in order to create a dramatic effect, were hallmarks of paintings during this period. St. Matthew and the Angel was a commission for the Church of San Luigi di Franceschi, for the Contarelli Chapel, as part of a set of 3 paintings that included itself, the Calling of St. Matthew, and the Martyrdom of St. Matthew, and eventually its replacement, the Inspiration of St. Matthew. This painting was refused by the chapel, as it was thought to depict St. Matthew in a crude, uneducated manner. Despite the denial of the painting, it remains to be an incredible hallmark of Caravaggio's work. The piece demonstrates his unique use of shadows, tenebrism, to highlight St. Matthew being guided by the angel as he writes portions of the Bible. Caravaggio's realism shines, as it shows the difficulty in the task of writing down God's word, spoken through the angel through St. Matthew's determined facial expression. Secondly, the angel's delicate form is able to properly express the sensitivity and the patience that the angel is practicing to guide Matthew's hand as he writes. This painting was able to humanize St. Matthew through Caravaggio's trademark realism, allowing the viewer to understand that saints too required guidance. These were simply people enlightened by God. Anyone could become a saint with enough dedication and faith. This was an idea seldom spread through artwork, as many paintings of the saints greatly glorify them, making them out to be much more than human. This painting allows the saints to become relatable, giving the opportunity to enhance and conjure faith, fulfilling the exact purpose of artwork during the Baroque period. Caravaggio is one of the most influential artists of the Baroque period, with many of his techniques becoming iconic of the period. Caravaggio had a unique style of using light and shadow to highlight particular figures and enhance feelings that had been attempted before but never mastered as Caravaggio was able to. His use of shadow was notable enough to become an artistic technique itself, known as tenebrism. Caravaggio's realism became another trademark of his style, depicting the human form almost exactly as it appeared, allowing for an incredible depiction of expression using gesture, and many Baroque artists followed suit, becoming a trademark of the artistic period. Many artists learned from Caravaggio's techniques and had their styles influenced by him, becoming known as the Caravaggisti. Caravaggio's influence left a lasting impact on the artistic world, and his techniques were used in the artistic periods that followed, and his work inspires artists to this day. The world lost one of Caravaggio's most important paintings. We lost an insight into the creative expression of one of the most influential artists of the Baroque period, and possibly all time. St. Matthew and the Angel expressed an authenticity rivaled by only a handful of Caravaggio's other works, showing his unhindered artistic vision, and a beautiful expression of the human form, made possible only through his capable skill and ability to capture a boundless amount of emotion in this holy scene. Though we may have photographs of the original, nothing could match the majesty of the original work. The art world will never be able to fully recover from this great tragedy.